Will he get a stomachache? Impossible. He survived IG training. It's not as though we don't know what Wang Zheng has already experienced. I don't think this can be worse than what happened on the Northern Star. We're unlikely to have made a mistake. No problem. Student Ailun's logical answer was extremely persuasive. There was no reason to worry at all. TCH, when would things ever be so simple? Chen Shu only half believed his words, but he continued to act all the same. After which, Chen Shu's eyes widened. The two mechas' 3D projections were being broken down into numerous lines of data. 1, 2, 3, each movement made, looked like it was glitched. Brother Ailun, could it be? There is a possibility. Wild King is around, right? Let him take a look. After Wild King received the analysis, he was momentarily dazed. His eyes were spinning with fervor. F***CK. 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 Stop cursing, Wild King. Is there a problem here? We can't really tell with our skills. F***CK. I can't believe such a person exists. He is truly godly. UB**TCH. Can you stop beating around the bush? Everyone is waiting for you to penetrate your chrysanthemum flower-like behind. It is said that among experts, there exists a certain godly state known as the all-seeing state. Nothing could hide before it. The Northern Star and Earth both released their own video analyses. However, the only thing they noted was that the Dragon King's nerves had been shaken and thus the opponent took advantage of that opportunity. Furthermore, Skeleton was an expert and would not have let that opportunity go. Even though it was a victory, Solon also felt that the world beyond the solar system was very dangerous. Just a trip to Northern Star already unearthed such an opponent. The Northern Star wasn't even one of the top regions. Solon had a dream in his heart. One day, Skeleton would crush the likes of Aslan and Atlantis. However, this was just an idle fantasy. If Skeleton went there, he would be no more than a joke. Boss, the Skeleton Corps has sent a new video analysis. Show it to me. I have to at least see what they bothered to send me. 1 minute later. Go, immediately. Take down the original video. B**TCH, B**TCH, B**TCH. Change it to this one. Solon started to scold the staff. Only when he was extremely excited would he act out of tune. In just a brief moment, the number of VIP viewers left idling had exceeded 15 million. At this point, the new video analysis started to show. Did the officials realize that they had made a mistake in the video they uploaded? What kind of mistake could it be? Earth's invincible flow, nothing can hide before it. The previous videos did have a point. The last strike was a form of ridicule. Then in that case, why did Steel Dragon King hesitate? Under a 10x slowdown of the scene, coupled with a 3D modeling breakdown of what happened, everyone's mouths were agape. However, there was still some doubt. It seemed far-fetched. If it was a lapse of judgment, then so be it. The actions were almost indiscernible. At this point, the last piece of analysis was shown. The Hercules had actually moved first. It had accurately predicted the movement. Only then did Yuan Long rush forward. He was slower by just a hair. Under the slow-motion lenses, he had made a slight adjustment in his direction of movement. It was clear that he was going to execute yet another set of attacks. However, the Hercules had already positioned itself such that it could strike back without facing retaliation when Yuan Long attacked. The screen froze at this point in time. The Hercules looked so nonchalant, like it was merely taking a stroll in a park. That was the feeling everyone had upon seeing it. It was not because he wanted to ridicule the opponent, neither was it a battle of wills. The Hercules position made use of a textbook concept known as the dead angle. When experts fight, the most brutal sort of loss was known as having their plan seen through and countered. Once one had been exposed, even the strongest fighters would be no different from a child in the opponent's eyes. It was as though Skeleton was telling his opponent that they were not his match. An uproar was heard from all the VIP viewers. From a gradually declining number of viewers, it suddenly shot up to almost 16 million. This was the true reason for Yuan Long's depression. He was almost at the highest tier of players and thus he was not ignorant. However, as a result, the defeat was even more demoralizing. This was also the reason why at the end, Yuan Long had said a single word. Why, after all, It has to be said that Yuan Long was a prodigious mech warrior. He had created a style of combat that combined both his natural physical prowess and his battle experiences that was uniquely his. Even when he was unmatched, he would still look for ways to improve. All of this only showed how much of a prodigy he was. One battle later, he only had one thought on his mind. The opponent and him were from completely different worlds. Could it be that the Earth truly possessed such skillful players? In both regions, the CT viewers were completely shocked. How could this be? It was not that Yuan Long was looking down on his opponent, neither was it luck. God. If he was more serious, the opponent would have been crushed even more easily. Instead, he acted so pretentiously. I knew it. How could one rely on luck to beat someone from Norton? Skeleton was worried that his opponent would be scared off and hence threw his shovel away. Little kid, you need to be more courageous. What 5 times gravity? These Nortoners are just bragging. B*TCH. Let's go create a group to go stomp those Norton players. Count me in. Let's go. The Skeleton Corp's flaming flag was being hoisted into the air. They started to flood the discussion forums. Norton had been conquered. This was called creating a storm, of course. One could clearly tell what the result was like for those who decided to challenge the Nortoners in a team battle. Yan Xiaoshu was clearly ruminating over what had happened. This was truly awesome. Wang Zheng was a real man. What should we do, boss? This video analysis seems quite accurate. Did you really perceive his attack? Yan Xiaoshu spoke in a pleading tone, trying to get the answer out of Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng smiled. That's about right. Perhaps I truly have not stepped into that realm. What was important was to understand the direction of the opponent's spear thrust. Furthermore, he only utilized a very direct and frontal flurry of attacks. That made it even easier to perceive his actions. It doesn't count for much. Bonehead had once mentioned what the true all-seeing state was like. This was in the realm of the super soldiers. It was clear that he was still far away from such a state. This was just him seeing through the tricks. Tyrant Su blinked his eyes. It's so complicated, can it be learned? Wang Zheng looked at Tyrant Su and he in turn glanced back. After half a moment, Tyrant Su waved his hand. Forget it. You don't need to say it. I am just going to focus on this to the very end. Wang Zheng smiled. This plaything was not worth learning. Fatty Su did not possess talent in this regard. On the official forums, the recording for this battle shot to the top of the charts. Even the Moon, Mars, and even the Karagal region had released their own video analyses. Yet none of them were better than Super Shu's analysis. Solon was grinning from ear to ear. He had almost ruined himself. The Earth region's video analysis was the best. To be honest, they weren't really that good, but Super Shu was the true expert. The average video analyzer did not possess the skills Chen Shu had. This man was a physics genius. Furthermore, Chen Shu's ability to explain multi-dimensional spatial theory was the best in Ares College. Even Xiao Fei had to relent on this point. Solon was very clear on what had to be done to retain these experts. He immediately sent a congratulatory message to the Skeleton Corps, at the same time offering Super Shu a professional position as a video analyzer. Yao Ailun was extremely excited. Money was not important. What was important was that professionals were recognized. At the same time, he had now gotten another sum of money to play around with. Granny's leg. 07's Wang Zheng already had his girl. Even Zhang Shan had gotten his own circle of admirers after changing departments. Only him and Chen Shu had no hope. Shu, CT has contacted me. They want to offer a contract for us to be professional analysts. I told you we were the best in this universe. Suddenly, Ailun, who had been talking to Chen Shu, suddenly froze like a video recording that had been jammed. In the doorway behind Chen Shu appeared 3 beautiful ladies. One was mature and well-developed. That alluring body left people's noses bleeding. In the middle of the 3 was a girl with long, black hair, something which student Ailun loved. Lastly was a girl with a refreshing, short hairstyle whom seemed a bit younger than the rest. She even looked in Yao Ailun's direction and blinked her eyes a few times. At this point, the 3 ladies surrounded Chen Shu. Shu, who are these 3? Chen Shu replied as he shook his head helplessly. Sister, how many times have I said this before? When you enter my room, You have to knock on the door. The mature girl patted Chen Shu's head. Why does older sis have to knock on your door to enter your room? Is this your friend? Nice to meet you. The holographic Yao Ailun stood up straight. Hello, older sister, it's nice to meet you. I am Yao Ailun, Chen Shu's best friend and his dormitory mate. Chen Yu gave a wry smile. So you are Yao Ailun. I often hear Shu talk about you. Please take good care of our dear Shu. Older sis, you can relax. Shu is like my own little brother. With me guiding him, no one would dare to bully him in Aries College. Yao Ailun patted his chest and his eyes twinkled radiantly. Okay, now all of you can get out. Really, weren't you just swimming? Don't disturb me, Chen Shu spoke in an irritated tone. No one wanted to help us apply our sunscreen, dear brother, the youngest of the three sisters, Chen Yan, said. Shu, you're just a few seconds older than me, Chen Shu spoke unwillingly. We are waiting for you, second sister Chen Ru said. Among the three sisters, Chen Ru had the best body, and just the sight of it caused student Ailun to pinch his nose, preventing a nosebleed. At this point, Chen Shu was clearly indignant and he quickly ushered the three out. Ah, they will be the death of me. This is why I never want to come back home for the holidays, Chen Shu said helplessly. Yao Ailun had already been caught up in a frenzy. Shu, are we still brothers? Yes, all right, tomorrow I will book a ticket and come over. Really, that's wonderful. I have no one to talk to. Let us go battle together. After turning off the Skylink, our dear student Ailun was so happy that he was crying tears of joy. It looked like heaven was still taking care of him. It turned out that there was an opportunity just right beside him, three beautiful ladies. That dumb Chen Shu, he truly did not appreciate things that were given to him. Yi Zisu and Mei and Zhao Jing were currently drinking tea and chit-chatting. Zhao Jing was not much older than them and had only graduated 2 years prior. Hence, they had a lot of common topics. Truthfully, Zhao Jing was quite curious. She wanted to know more about this group of people. As Xiao Fei was just too famous, she was no longer just a representative of her field. It could be said that she represented all of the scientists of Earth. Furthermore, she was young and beautiful, and this easily created topics of discussion. Wang Zheng seems quite lucky. Why have I never met such a mentor? Zhao Jing said. Yi Zisu seemed dazed momentarily. Why would you say that? Zhao Jing smiled. What kind of mentor is willing to put their student's name on the credits of such an important work of research? Yi Zisu and Mei looked at each other and laughed. Sister Zhao, this is where you're mistaken. The reason for the research's breakthrough was Wang Zheng. Zhao Jing was stunned. How could this be? How old is he? We don't want to believe it, but it is the truth. Furthermore, the original train of thought came from just a usual lessons discussion, and Mei said proudly. But didn't he also pass the first round of IG selections? Furthermore, his results were excellent. Zhao Jing had difficulty believing it. I have to admit that he is kind of strange, Yi Zisu said as she stirred her cup of black rose tea. What? Do you like him? Zhao Jing gave a smirk. Ah, no, we are just old friends, Yi Zisu replied. Ah, old friends indeed. No wonder. However, I feel that the two of you are a good fit. A pity, Zhao Jing said. A pity? Your family is unlikely to agree. Zhao Jing smiled. Yi Zisu's status was no big secret. She was the heir to OMG, Earth's largest mecha production business. Furthermore, it was also a private business. Originally, it was not a big deal as they specialized in producing agricultural mecha. However, with current developments and the new round of financing, with the joint research and development of new projects, combined with the support of two large interstellar oligarchies, OMG had entered a new phase of development. Its future was limitless. However, just looking at Yi Zisu, she did not seem like an aloof heiress. She was quite approachable. Zhao Jing had met numerous types of people like that, and to be frank, she did not like to have tea with such individuals. With those sorts of individuals, she would merely exchange a few words and that itself was already more than enough. Yi Zisu shook her head. I make my own decisions regarding my feelings. Zhao Jing nodded her head. This rascal. Although one could choose who they wanted to date, when it came to marriage, it was a completely different thing. However, she did not want to break this illusion. Furthermore, Zissou was only a student, she had plenty of time to enjoy life. Right. How were the discussions on Norton? We just made their acquaintance. The next step will still require us to discuss further. This was just the official reply. The truth was that nothing of substance had been discussed. Zhao Jing understood what she meant. She greatly appreciated Yi Zissou. Although she seemed like a warm and cute girl, she was actually very capable and skillful. She was extremely thoughtful and meticulous. The way large families trained their daughters was truly different. It was at this point that Yi Zissou's Skylink rang out. Please excuse me, I need to receive a call. Yi Zissou got up. What, are you sure? Yes, madam. They apologized for their negligence. TB's CEO personally came to visit. They would like to restart negotiations. Our original conditions are agreeable. Yi Zissou was stunned. Why was there such a sudden turn? Why? It was impossible. OMG was famous on Earth but had next to no influence elsewhere. Since OMG wanted to enter the Norton Star market, the other party had no need to be so respectful. What's the reason? Yi Zissou asked calmly. She did not believe that pancakes would fall from the sky. Our people have been inquiring. Apparently, the TB CEO is a CT fan. After he watched a strange match, he finally started believing in OMG's capabilities. Furthermore, he said that he wanted a ride inside our Hercules mech. We are not even trying to sell this mech to them. Yi Zissou was also slightly dazed. Hercules? This was just a normal mech they produced. This time, they had tried to export their newest mech. Since they were entering a new market, they had to produce their best goods. However, the other party. Wait, CT, confirm if this is true. I think I know what's going on. I am currently traveling to Roland Garros. With regards to the other matters, you can report to the main office. Yes, madam. The person who called her was extremely excited. Originally, there was almost no hope at all. To them, they had only expected to be rebuffed and had given up. Who would have expected such a turn in events? After hanging up the Skylink, Yi Zissou immediately went onto court as expected. Another match of a godly Hercules could be seen. CT's replication of mecha was quite accurate. Every time a new mech was released, they would buy the mech to inspect its operational and data capabilities before releasing it in-game. Skeleton could have been said to have brought out the full potential of the mech. No wonder TB's CEO had changed his mind. It could be said that listening to something was not as good as seeing it in action. Steel Dragon King was extremely famous on Norton, however, he had been soundly beaten. She had a feeling that in the future, both the Hercules and the War God #1 would be banned from usage. In truth, the situation had become quite a show in the solar system. Especially in ranking matches, both sides were banning Hercules and War God #1s. The usual B** stards who used those mecha could not help the team win. This was done not to prevent the opponents from using these mecha but to prevent their own teammates from bringing them down. These crazy fools were not just limited to one or two. If one wanted to practice, they had to do so against bot matches. However, these fools wanted to prove themselves in ranked matches. It was said that only in a real battle could one awaken their abilities. Granny's leg. Endless teams were brought down by their own teammates. The problem was that some people managed to win with the Hercules, yet this was after a successful chain of 10 odd losses. But just the fact that they won once let them feel as though they were gods. During mech selection, the Hercules was the one most often picked. 90% of the analyses was surrounding OMG's Hercules mech. Yi Zissou didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. Even something like this could happen. When OMG's Hercules had been chosen to be a part of CT's mecha selection, they did not think much of it. Truthfully, they thought that no one would ever use it. In CT, there were few people who did NPC missions. Doing these missions would allow one to earn some credits that could be used to repair and replace mech parts. Many people had no patience and chose to buy it with money instead. These rich people would directly buy the mecha of their choice. The rest was irrelevant. However, with Skeleton's usage of the Hercules, this mech suddenly became extremely popular. It was originally a model that was about to be phased out. The name of the new mech had always been controversial. As of now, it was no longer an issue. Hercules Type 10 sometimes, when one's luck was good, there was just no stopping it. Zhao Jing had a good body and was eloquent. Furthermore, she had 2 years of interstellar experience and had seen many things. Her stories of the wonderful sceneries she had seen when she was amongst the stars caused the other 2 girls to revere her. Very quickly, the 3 of them became fast friends. It has to be said that females are strange creatures. They can become fast friends over a pair of shoes and yet at the same time become arch enemies. In this world, it is the ladies that make the world interesting. Taking advantage of the situation like stealing from a burning store, Yan Xiaoshu quickly discussed some new opportunities with Solon. Demonstrating his business acumen as Wang Zheng's agent, in light of the 16 million VIP viewers, which was truly record-breaking, he had to ensure that Solon did not hoard all the benefits. To this, Solon was not surprised. In fact, what he was more worried about was that the other party did not have any desires or wishes. Them still wishing to deal with him was a good sign. Solon's biggest dream was to become the solar system's chairman. Now he had succeeded. News spread quickly and his idea had been extremely successful. It allowed him to cement his position as the chairman extremely quickly. Even McLaren wished to retire in glory. However, the last fight allowed Solon to see past his previous dreams. Wang Zheng was currently in the training room, hoping that Changsun would be around. However, Changsun was not around in the room he had previously stayed and had a change of personnel. Changsun had already left the ship. He did not even say goodbye. Changsun didn't seem like that sort of person. All of a sudden, Wang Zheng realized. Changsun definitely was not here for a vacation. He must have had a mission to accomplish. Those teammates of his, to be frank, Wang Zheng was not quite used to them. They did not feel like normal soldiers. In fact, they seemed like vagrants. It was not due to the words they said, but rather it was seen from their behavior. Regardless, Wang Zheng quietly wished them a safe journey. One day, he would do the same. Currently, in some area of the Sagittarius constellation, a sleek ship was flying amongst the vast stars. On it was Changsun and his team. None of them were joking around and their gazes were heavy. This was a mission that would barely leave anyone alive. To them, life and death was not important. The meaning of life was to do what they felt was important and to battle alongside their comrades. Boss, to be frank, you have just recovered. There was no need for you to enter these muddy waters. Letting us handle it would have been fine. Changsun gave a wry smile. They spent so much to let me recover. Did you think I would just lie in bed? Haha. Even I was shocked. I am just happy to leave that blasted ship. Just looking at that group of people made me feel uneasy. Everyone has their own lives to lead, we have our own worlds. Changsun and the rest belong to a world without light, it was their chosen path. Wang Zheng's image appeared in Changsun's mind. He felt that he would meet that brat again. However, thinking back, how could it be possible? Wang Zheng was an overachiever of Ares College. They walked different routes. This was life. 10 days later, the new Olympus had exited from curved flight. The Milky Way Alliance headquarters was already within range. Wang Zheng and the rest were awakened from stasis sleep. Curved flight was extremely dull, so most of the crew opted to pass time in this manner. This was also his first experience doing so. The new Olympus was Roland Garros' assigned ambassadorship. As the solar system was a permanent member of the Alliance, they possessed the highest level of clearance with their ambassador permits. The rest of the journey was smooth sailing and soon they arrived on the planet that demonstrated the very pinnacle of human civilization. The ship was guided along the star track, entering the spaceport. The huge new Olympus was like an ant in front of the even larger docking port. Along the window, Wang Zheng and his friends stared at the huge docking port. At the same time, over 10 ships could be seen flying past them. The majority were transport ships, but there were some that were like the new Olympus, ambassador ships. People from all parts of the Milky Way gathered on this planet, the very mark of human civilization challenging the vast universe. Suddenly, a dark blue ship flew past. It looked different compared to the warships of humanity. It was sleek and streamlined and it gave the feeling that it was swimming through space as it moved. At this point, all the other ships made way. It was dazzling and it gracefully went past all the ships. It was like an aloof emperor. Everyone gave way to it as it flew straight into the port. F***CK. What's so great about that ship? Why did everyone make way? Yan Xiaoshu pouted as he spoke. Just a moment ago, he was the one receiving special attention. Just as quickly, he had become relegated to the side. Did you not see that battle standard with the mermaid on it? That's the Star Ocean's Emperor's symbol. It was one of Atlantis' diplomatic ships. As one of the 10 permanent members on the Milky Way Alliance, they possess significant influence, Zhao Jing said. Yan Xiaoshu rubbed his nose. Are we not also a diplomatic ship? Why aren't people receiving us? Zhao Jing smiled and shook her head. We are an ambassadorship that belongs to Earth. We do not possess such a high stature. In the entire alliance, there are no more than 30 ships that possess such influence. Furthermore, the solar system is no longer in its heydays. Regardless of whatever era one was in, strength makes right. It was unknown how many numerous alliance members had requested for Earth's special status to be revoked. At this time, yet another ship flew past. It was very clear that it possessed a high priority. All of the patrolling warships gave way to it and allowed it to enter the port. The new Olympus, which had been preparing to enter the port, could only stop once again. It possessed a deep black hull, with jagged spikes all over, much like the sharp teeth of a wild beast. Just looking at it made one feel a chill. There was no need for introductions. With such an exaggerated appearance, everyone could identify it. It was a black steel warship. The Arbiter Republic. During the exploration era, it was only second to Aslan in strength. They expanded their borders quickly and ruthlessly. They were different compared to the well-integrated Aslan. The Arbiter Republic chose to seal themselves off. Aslan prided itself on its honor and glory, choosing to walk the path of a righteous knight. On the other hand, the Arbiter Republic was cold-blooded and was like a locust swarm. They were more like space pirates. It was now one of the permanent members of the Milky Way Alliance. During the exploration era, they accomplished one of mankind's greatest discoveries. To be frank, they did so through plundering. As fellow members of the Alliance, no one said anything. The Arbiter Republic did not care about rules. Once, they even devastated 3 entire planets. This black ship was also a diplomatic ship. After the new Olympus docked, the solar system's embassy staff rushed out to receive them. This was them showing their respect for Xiao Fei and Marcus. The ceremony seemed a little grand. Wang Zheng and the rest had their skylinks directly connected to the main net, obtaining a licensed pass for them to move around. They were given access on the level of a member of the embassy. After the procedures were completed, the embassy staff prepared lodging for the group. Xiao Fei declined the arrangements provided by the embassy. This was not her first time at Roland Garros, and she had many close friends here. The opportunity to come here is rare. You can go and explore. Each country's area is interesting. Just remember one thing. This is Roland Garros and we represent the solar system and Earth, so act the part. Xiao Fei chased Wang Zheng and friends away. She had many friends she had to visit. Wang Zheng and friends had no intention of resting. There were 3 days until the ceremony, and it was also their summer vacation. If they didn't take the chance to play, that would be going against God's wishes. Touring Roland Garros was a strange experience. It allowed one to see the customs and cultures of all the different countries. It was like touring the Milky Way itself. Everyone enjoyed themselves immensely, especially in the special areas allocated to each country. For a first-timer, they were able to receive free memorabilia, models, hats, and keychains. Free goods were king. Regardless of what it was, anything free was happiness. In Mei and Yi Zixu were avid collectors, and they felt indebted to Wang Zheng and Yan Xiaoshu for bringing them here. Before long, Yan Xiaoshu and Mei were distracted by a claw machine. However, the two of them were not very lucky. After half a day, they failed to catch anything. The staff, who were watching from the side, couldn't help but laugh. They wanted to continue playing, but they realized that they had used up all of their free credits. They had even used up Wang Zheng and Yi Zixu's credits as well. If they were to continue, they would have to pay $10 per game. It's so expensive, and Mei blinked her eyes, indignant that they had not managed to win anything. Kiki, it's expensive for a reason. All of these toys inside are all handmade goods. These are not your cheap, run-of-the-mill items. Furthermore, they are made with Anmar Yeti fur. This is one of the most popular items in our country, the Principality of Leon, the staff member said very politely. In his eyes, a trace of amusement could be seen. It was clear that being able to catch a toy required hand-eye coordination and dexterity. The true value of an item could only be seen in comparison with other items. If it truly was Yeti fur, it would fetch at least $2,000 to $3,000 on Earth. Furthermore, that was just a conservative estimate. These furry toys were adorable, and girls all wanted to own one. Wang Jung walked over. Let me try, $10 per try, yes? Yep. Wang Jung smiled and took out $100. Give me 10 tries. Thank you, sir. The staff member was very happy. This amount would be kept by him as commission. However, he was not a mean person. He was planning on giving these earthlings a souvenir after they had spent $300. And Mei pulled Yan Xiaoshu over. Is this okay? I don't want to cause someone to go broke over a toy. No worries. When boss acts, there's no problem, Yan Xiaoshu said as he patted his chest. And Mei and Yi Zisu blinked their eyes at him before cheering Wang Jung on. However, just 30 seconds later, student Wang's first attempt had caught him a plushie. The staff member looked quite shocked. Your luck is pretty good. It's not bad. Let's continue. Wang Jung smiled before turning his head at Yan Xiaoshu. Which one do you want? The polar bear, Yan Xiaoshu said excitedly. Okay. The staff member just smiled. The polar bear was heavy. With the strength of the claw, it was an impossible task. However, just another 30 seconds later, bang! The claw machine played a song to congratulate Wang Jung. The polar bear rolled out of the machine. Okay, what else do you guys want? That fire-spitting dragon looks quite cool. This time it was even quicker. Within 10 seconds, it rolled out of the machine as well. Any others, Zisu? And Mei probed her. She had to take advantage of these opportunities to develop the relationship. I want that small sunflower. The staff member who had looked as though he was going to cry couldn't help but to look gratefully at Yi Zisu. What a wonderful person. Wang Jung smiled and just as easily grabbed the toy. Everyone had had a chance. Wang Jung still had 6 tries. After deeply sighing, student Wang set his sights on the largest plushie. Brother is truly an expert. Please let this little one go. This is a souvenir. Please count the plushies before as gifts from this little one. The staff member was crying as he pleaded. Wang Jung smiled. Forget it. We won't bully you anymore. The staff member quickly thanked him profusely. After refunding them and satisfying the 2 ladies, he couldn't help but think of how all the previous earthlings who came by had been tricked. Now the tables had turned. After leaving the area of the Principality of Lyon, everyone was very satisfied. Why are you still laughing? That fellow almost died of sadness, and Mei said as she hugged her polar bear. After becoming contented, she began to pity that poor guy. He has earned enough. He only suffered under us, Wang Jung said as he laughed. Everyone turned away when they saw them. Perhaps they had seen Wang Jung's performance and hence many people were struggling to decide if they ought to entertain him. After enjoying themselves, the sky had become dark. Everyone was hungry. And Mei grabbed Yan Xiaoshu and asked, do we still have that list of recommended places to eat? Yan Xiaoshu looked over it. After a brief discussion, they chose the highest-rated restaurant. He used his Skylink to book a table for 4 before they headed over. The service at the restaurant was excellent and the atmosphere was amazing. There were numerous customers and the building was made of sound-absorbing materials, so as long as one did not shout too loudly, each table's sounds were unlikely to disturb another. It was suitable for people to eat and chat with their friends. You booked a table for 4. Please follow me. The service staff was very sweet and demure-looking. Her voice was also very mellow. She seemed like a soft-spoken girl. Yan Xiaoshu and Wang Jung looked at each other. There was no need for words. They knew what was in their hearts without saying a word. This girl was truly very sweet. The decor was amazing. All that was left was to see how the food was. They ordered the restaurant's most popular set meal and the food quickly arrived. The taste was pretty decent, however, Wang Jung was not as enthusiastic. Even though the food was good, the portion was just too small. They ate and chatted. Yan Xiaoshu suddenly spoke, take a look over there. Do you think that those people over there have been staring at us? Wang Jung smiled. Yi Zisu and Mei looked over surreptitiously. The table Yan Xiaoshu was pointing to had 3 individuals. One of them was currently looking over at their table. Yi Zisu had a slight frown. These people did seem slightly familiar, but she could not recognize them. At this time, the person who had been looking at Yi Zisu stood up and walked over. Sorry to disturb. May I know if you are Yi Zisu from Beijing? You are. I am Ni Suaz. I am from one of your classes. Ni Suaz let out a refreshing smile. We have even received a scholarship together. My parents were transferred to Roland Garros, so I moved over here as well. Ah, Ni Suaz. It really is you. It has been a long time. Please sit. Yi Zisu smiled. Truthfully, she had only met him a few times and only had a brief impression of him. However, being able to meet someone familiar in another planet was still something worth celebrating. How might I address the rest of you? Ni Suaz sat down and immediately smiled at the rest of them. I am Yan Xiaoshu and this is my girlfriend, and Mei. And this over here is my brother, Wang Zheng. Yan Xiaoshu smiled as he introduced the rest of them. Deep down he knew that the two of them were from completely different circles. The people Zisu met when she was young were definitely extraordinary. Kiki. What might the group of you be here for? Roland Garros was not a place people came to tour. Those who were here either possessed significant stature or were here on official business. These individuals did not seem to be like that. Wang Zheng has won this year's Milky Way Science and Technology Award, Yan Xiaoshu said proudly. Ah, so you are that Wang Zheng. You are extremely famous, Ni Suaz said politely. Wang Zheng gave a wry smile as always. He could feel that the individual sitting before him was just exchanging pleasantries. He was not really interested in meeting new friends. I was lucky. Ni Suaz smiled yet again. Haha. With Xiao Fei as your professor, I believe you are extremely lucky. Yan Xiaoshu blinked. This brat was trying to insinuate something. Wang Zheng just continued to smile. At this point, Ni Suaz took out a holographic name card before saying, I am very familiar with Roland Garros. If you have any problems, please give me a Skylink call. I have friends who can help. Let's meet again. After which, he politely excused himself, bowed towards the group, and then returned to his original seat. Ni Suaz's two friends smiled lightly. Ni Suaz, that was quick. That girl's quite cute. Even the playboy couldn't do it. She's fine, I guess, a pass. I recall that her family owns a mecha company. That guy at that corner, Wang Zheng, he's a recipient of this time's University Science Contribution Award for Physics. Ni Suaz's two guests were also winners of this time's Contribution Award, respectively the Biology Award and the Interstellar Network Award. It was obvious that they knew each other. They had similar family backgrounds and socialized in the same circle of friends. Wang Zheng. Oh, that student of Xiao Fei. Haha, and I was wondering why you came back so quickly. You have a contender. Him? Are you humiliating me? We're here because of our own hard work. He depended on his teacher to be here, Ni Suaz said with contempt. Well, that girl is not bad. There's a few days to spare. I'll see if there's a chance to have a good time. You are interested even in that kind of country bumpkin? She's still a rich man's daughter. The quality is there. The three of them snickered. Their eyes kept shifting to the corner where Wang Zheng was. Yan Xiaoshu lips curled. Boss, that guy has quite a glib tongue. Why'd I feel like he was being sarcastic? Wang Zheng laughed. Who cares? Don't let others spoil your mood. Wang Zheng ate one plate of roasted pork neck happily. It was tender, sweet, and not greasy at all. Leave 2 pieces for my girl, and Mei, Yan Xiaoshu said. Go away, I'm not eating. Wang Zheng, don't be courteous with this fat guy. Yan Xiaoshu was shocked. Fat? Me? How am I fat? You're going to become as round as a ball. Yan Xiaoshu was so shocked that he rubbed his belly. Life was so good recently that he was getting plump. It was actually a happy thing to be able to meet someone from the same hometown at such a far place. However, Ni Suaz seemed to think too highly of himself. Yi Zisu, Wang Zheng, and their friends did not intend to be any friendlier if he was so cold. To be a diplomat at Roland Garros, Ni Suaz was definitely an elite of the upper class. It was no wonder that he looked down on everyone, even Yi Zisu. Despite the unhappy episode, the food here was indeed delicious. The four people were not petty people, so they enjoyed their dinner. When night arrived, Roland Garros nightlife started. In reality, even though it was an administrative planet, the entertainment here was of the highest quality. After all, this was where the high-ranking officers of each country gathered. There was nothing lacking here, and the service provided was the best. All that mattered was one's rank, which determined what one could access. Xiao Fei arrived back at the villa at the same time as them. She had a smile on her face. The experiment was a success and she had a breakthrough. It was obvious that contacting her friends had a beneficial effect on the communication process with various cooperating parties. At this moment, the team Yi Zhisu brought followed Xiao Fei and reported the situation to her. You guys continue talking. We will go upstairs to watch the stars. Just thinking of Roland Garros' night sky is so romantic. Yan Xiaoshu pulled in Mei upstairs to enjoy a little private time together. Nighttime was the best time for couples to cuddle. Obviously, they would not want any third party disturbing them. On the other hand, it was Wang Zheng who was starting to regret inviting them to this trip. These two people should be locked in a cage for a whole vacation to see if they could still be so lovey-dovey after that. Oh, right, there's a gathering tomorrow night. It's organized by a few old friends of mine and me. Wang Zheng will have to attend with me. Those attending are authorities in their various fields, and also their students, Xiao Fei said to Wang Zheng and Yi Zhisu. As she said this, she frowned when she looked at Wang Zheng's attire. Zhisu, please bring this rascal to shop for an appropriate attire later. I'll pay for it. From Xiao Fei's tone, this gathering would be quite formal. There should be many renowned scientists attending, and the attendees were not limited to the physics world. When a student won the University Science Contribution Award, authorities from various fields would be present to meet them. This gathering was also the pre-event for the Milky Way Nobel Prize that would be presented 3 months from now. Don't worry, leave it to me. Yi Zhisu smiled. Wang Zheng stood helpless at a side. He had absolutely no say in this. Yi Zhisu's excitement in choosing clothes scared Wang Zheng. He was not so devastated even when facing the Zerg tribe's army. Yi Zhisu could not suppress her laughter. Look at your miserable face. I will choose the clothes, there. There's a resting place opposite. I will contact you via Skylink in a while. Zhisu, you really are a lifesaver. Wang Zheng quickly escaped. After shopping for such a long time, he felt like his IQ had dropped. Even his whole body felt stiff like a robot. Other than having a mall cafe, the whole neighborhood was filled with the usual facilities. There were also some very unique places that he had never seen before in other places. Of these establishment designs, there was one named Coffee that had an entrance that looked strange and old. It was relatively grand. The shop sign had an explicit notice. Gene score below 90 not allowed. This sign was like a slap to his face. Did being at Roland Garros give this shop the right to be so demanding? He was determined to take a look. Wang Zheng pushed Coffee's door open and saw a screen pop out. There was a string of algorithms. It was a passcode-based entry test. Please answer within 5 minutes. Please enter if your answer is correct. If not, please do leave within 3 seconds or you will get electrocuted. Thank you for your cooperation. Wang Zheng was stunned. My God, such an impressive entrance test. Who was the shop owner? Moreover, the shop was situated in Roland Garros. Wouldn't there be a wealthy person or powerful officer who wanted to destroy this shop? Looking at the hustle and bustle of the passer-bys, there seemed to be no intention of anyone wanting to destroy this shop. Perhaps the people here had a high level of tolerance and good restraint. However, that did not include him. Gene score was Wang Zheng's sore spot. He wanted to represent all of those with a gene score below 90 and prove that they too were capable. At least at this moment, whether one had a gene score of 28 or 88, they were all in the same boat. It was just a simple problem based on the basic 5-dimensional numerical analysis theory. It required a little mental calculation. Wang Zheng used only 48 seconds. He entered the answer and the screen disappeared. When the door opened with a squeak, he heard loud sounds of people arguing. Old Mew, if I do not destroy you today, I'll take on your surname. Gale, you already have my surname. Go back and practice again for another 100 years. 2 silver-haired old men were shouting at each other like a pair of hot-blooded youths. Their hands were also waving in the air, they were playing a game. This was indeed a special coffee shop. There was no service crew, there were only 2 old men fighting and more than 10 people watching. None of them were young. Wang Jung felt like fainting. Was this place for the elderly to reminisce? There were strings of formulae on 2 screens. It was a competition to solve problems. The slower party's avatar would suffer a hit on the head by the faster person's avatar. The older you were, the more childish you would be. They were like children, fighting to win. No elder was giving the other a chance. Seeing how they were so agitated, Wang Jung was reminded of the old merchant and smiled knowingly. Ah! With this scream, the old man called Gale had his avatar beaten till it fell. Gale raised his head and saw a young man in the crowd, laughing at him. Rascal, you, no need to look anymore. Yeah, you there, how did you come in? Gale said fiercely. Those present also turned back only to find out that there was a young man in the room. They were all surprised. Sorry, I went the wrong way. I'll leave now. Wang Jung, feeling that the mood was not right, decided not to stay any longer. These people were either of the age of uncles or grandfathers. It was quite pressuring. Hold on, where do you think this is? Entering and leaving as you wish. Gale was obviously looking for a person to take his anger from losing the game. Grandpa, are you kidnapping me? Wang Jung laughed. This old man looked like Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was angry. Grandpa, your head. Have you ever seen such a handsome and young grandpa? Gale retorted furiously. The crowd erupted into laughter as a result. That old Mew laughed until he was breathless. Haha, young man, you have a good eye. Ignore this old man. He's always a sore loser. Returning to the topic, did you really solve the problem? The question I set today is quite difficult. Old Mew, what did you set? High-level Malasso's numerical theory with a time limit of 5 minutes. Let me see. He solved it in less than 1 minute. At this moment, the whole room fell silent. The group of people looked at Wang Jung as if he was a monster. Yo, looks like he's here to challenge us, old Mew said. This group of people were like zookeepers. They made Wang Jung uncomfortable. Ahem, gentlemen, I'm just looking for a cup of coffee. I have something going on, I got to go. Haha, young man, there's coffee here, and it's free of charge. Since you're already here, stay. Rascal, are you thinking of leaving? Too bad. In this place, even if it was Ryan, he could not come and go as he wished. Gale said arrogantly, his mustache puffed out, looking very majestic. Wang Jung quickly assessed Gale's ability to fight. It should be close to 0. This should not be a kidnapping. To be able to solve the question so quickly shows that you have excellent mathematical and mental calculation ability. How about this? We will play 1 round. If you win, you can leave. Old Mew laughed. Let me play. I love to beat young people, Gale said impatiently. Wang Jung was speechless. What kind of people were they? Young man, this old man is just a little mean with his words. He was addicted to CT recently. Look at him. He is definitely the one getting beaten up. Not only that, people called him a primary school kid every day. Actually, he is an old student, haha. The people surrounding them teased Gale. Gale, on the other hand, remained calm. He ignored their teasing. Wang Jung finally understood. He had met a mischievous old man. Still playing CT at this age, who else would get beaten? I don't really understand this game, Wang Jung said. Looking at them reminded him of old merchant. Even the way they spoke was similar. He treated this as spending some time with the elderly. It's very simple. There will be questions appearing non-stop. Whoever solves theirs first, their avatar can hit their opponent's avatar. You win when your opponent's avatar falls. Old Mew said. Wang Jung nodded his head. Gale was excited. It looked like he really did love this game. Gale had already rolled up his sleeves. Young man, you are quite brave. Don't worry, I'm actually very nice. I won't be so harsh on you. Wang Jung laughed and stood at the opposite side. Once the two were in place, the screen appeared in a flash. At the same time, different categories of problems dropped down on the screen. There were simple mental calculations and also high-level deductive questions. It was okay if you were only slow, however, if you miscalculated, you would not only suffer a hit from your opponent's avatar, but also get punished. The audience was all smiling. This Gale was a bit too much to be bullying a young man. However, to be able to compete with Gale was an honor in itself. He would not play with just anybody. Initially, Gale intended to give Wang Jung a chance. 1 minute later, his face darkened. His hands did not stop and his eyes were focused on the screen. He started playing seriously. Not long after, the audience was all taken aback. This was unbelievable. This young man's speed was actually much faster than Gale. The first few questions were easier, so it was natural that the younger player had faster responses. It was when Wang Jung swiftly solved a mathematical theory that everyone there froze. The disposition of the group of middle to old-aged men started to change unconsciously. Wang Jung was faster by 3 questions. This was about the same situation as with old Mew previously. At this point, another question emerged. The audience sighed. Gale had quite good luck. There were some problems in the question bank that could not be solved. Once such a problem appeared, it usually ended up as a draw. Stimulation could be achieved through these kinds of games, providing a source of inspiration. Sometimes players could be inspired by some of these unsolved problems. This game added a little fun to work. Wang Jung frowned. The Mew 5 dimensions reaction problem. This was a troublesome problem to solve. The Mew 5 dimensions reaction problem was a theory that proposed a hypothesis, but it lacked a sound reasoning process. Even so, this theory had great influence in the fields of space and mathematics. Many scientists believed this theory to be accurate. It was the process of proving it that was a headache. There were a few reasons provided, however, they all had their flaws. After pausing for about a minute, Wang Jung started to solve the problem. He had discussed this with Old Merchant before, and Old Merchant's comment was that this theory was a smart theory, but it was too conservative. The middle-aged men surrounding them laughed. Random writings and drawings would result in a loss of points. Old Mew laughed too. However, soon after, his expression froze. At the opposite side, Gale was originally feeling proud, but soon he gave up on solving the problem and looked at Wang Jung. His expression became more and more serious. How can it be? That's not the way, I have tried it before. I got stuck halfway. Why did he change methods? This is solving the 5 dimensions from the perspective of the 13 dimensions? That is really daring. As the solving progressed, there was not a sound in the room, leaving only the tick-tock of an old mechanical clock. After more than 1 hour, Wang Jung finally finished his calculations and let out a sigh. He felt a tiny sense of accomplishment. His brain had become active again. Subconsciously, he looked at his Skylink. 3 missed calls and more than an hour had passed. Oh no, damn mathematics. Such a waste of time, a waste of life. Wang Jung did not even bother to say anything before escaping. Zissou must have waited for him for a long time already. No one noticed when Wang Jung left. Their eyes were all on the screen. A long time later, old Mew was the first to react. The old adage is true. You can see more with an open mind. Looks like I've been too narrow-minded. No wonder I couldn't solve it. After a while, Gale shook his head and asked, how does this rascal's brain work? Most of them ignored the possibility of different perspectives when they solved the problem to this stage, because this was a directional theory. Who would have thought that he would use a 13 dimensions perspective to solve a 5 dimensions problem before converting it back to a 5 dimensions perspective? This rascal. Where is he? Only now did everyone realize that that strange young man had disappeared. Only old Mew and Gale were able to solve the problem. The others were still struggling in understanding the process. After all, they were experts in different fields. They may understand a little, but they did not understand it all. Old Mew, is this reasoning correct? The one who spoke was a famous middle-aged chemist. His specialty was not in this field, so he could not understand. It is right, and it is, until now, the best reasoning. This rascal. Who is his teacher? I have not heard of him. Yes, we would know about such a genius. Old Mew, don't tell me that this rascal is your bastard and you are in some sort of collaboration with him. Mew Function was an expert in this field. If there was anyone who had solved this problem, it was not possible that there would be no news at all. From what I know, it has not been solved up till now. Please don't tell me that this unknown rascal just happened to walk through the wrong door and then solve the problem that has been challenging us for so many years. And then he simply mysteriously disappeared? Is he a time traveler? Gale said in disbelief, "It must be that you're playing a prank on me." Mu Function shook his head. "I myself did not even solve it to this step. This is unbelievable." The people in the room started to whisper amongst themselves. It was impossible. Everyone here was at the top in their fields. They always knew about any new developments in their fields. For instance, if anyone solved a famous difficult problem in their field of study, there's no way they wouldn't publicize it at the first instance. It was even more impossible that they would send a kid to play a joke on them. Kid. Gale and Mu Function looked at each other. It was obvious everyone had noticed the root of the problem. This kid looked only to be 16 or 17 years old. How could he have solved the problem? This was not a problem that could be solved through memorization. "Hey, isn't that university award ceremony 2 days from now?" someone reminded. "Oh, that kind of thing has no meaning. I don't have the time to go to such a thing." "You mean that this rascal is a recipient?" Gale said. "I'm not sure if he is a recipient, but I suspect that this problem was solved by that rascal," Mu Function said. The room was silent. Was this possible? However, Mu Function was the one with the most authority to say such things. "Oh, yes, Xiao Fei, that girl came. She invited us. I rejected the invitation. Shall we go take a look? Maybe that rascal will be there." "That makes sense. I don't believe that this rascal is just some nameless guy. We'll take a look tomorrow." "If you all are going, I'm going too. Looks like we have belittled these youngsters." "Yes, it's a rare chance to have our yearly meeting. I wanted to avoid these troublesome things. Looks like I still have to attend." Yi Zisu was not anxious. When she saw Wang Jung hurrying towards her, she smiled. "Where did you disappear to in just this little while?" "Originally, I wanted to drink a free cup of coffee, but then I entered an elderly club and was chatting with them just now. Have you chosen the clothes?" "I know you can't stand it. I've chosen them all for you. Miss Yi is the best. You are the queen." Wang Jung quickly praised her. "Not bad, eunuch Jung. Let's return to the palace now." Yi Zisu quickly posed like a queen dowager. The clothes that Yi Zisu chose were definitely tasteful. Wang Jung knew about his poor fashion sense. What he liked would not be suitable for that kind of formal gathering. Well, it was simply a formality, there was no big deal about it. When they returned, there were no signs of Xiao Fei or Marcus. Perhaps, since they were at Roland Garros, they were taking a hard-earned break to meet some old friends. Yi Zisu and Mei were discussing their shopping spoils. Girls were always so excited. Tyrant Xiaoshu was already losing interest in Roland Garros. How to put it? This place was filled with elitism. Tyrant Xiaoshu had no place to exhibit his talents. If not for the distance, he might have returned to Earth already. Different from Tyrant Xiaoshu's internal struggle, the others in Group 007 were happily enjoying their holiday. "Why don't you come along? I have a private gravitational room in my house. It can be adjusted to a maximum of triple the gravitational pull. Brother Ailun has already booked the plane ticket to come here." Chen Shu said. It was a good opportunity for a gathering. This young little boy thought that if he had more friends over during the holiday period, he would stand a better chance to avoid his sister's harassment. Perhaps he could even get his friends to occupy his sister's attention. Then he could meet girls at the beachside. In the past, every time he almost succeeded in his efforts, his sisters would come up and destroy it. Zhang Shan laughed. "Thanks, but perhaps another time. I'm going to do some private training soon." If they went to the beachside, it would be difficult to train peacefully. There was a difference between training wholeheartedly and training half-heartedly. He had started later than others, so he had to work harder. After hanging up the Skylink, Zhang Shan changed his clothes and went to the nearby dojo. The dojo owner's daughter was his high school classmate. "Zhang Shan, I heard that you transferred to the mecha department." "Yes. Do you want to try dating me? Ahem, beauty Shu, please stop joking." Xu Ying was definitely a popular girl in high school. She was attractive and tall, and she had a pair of long legs that was touted as the most beautiful pair of legs in the school. Her ancestors, up to 3 generations ago, all owned dojos. Within a radius of 10 streets, there was not one gangster. It was rumored that her family's way of training involved getting rid of those powerful street gangsters. In high school, any bully would be punished by her. Her presence ensured that the school was kept in order. In fact, with her keeping order in school, the school produced more talents than the previous years. However, the most impressive thing about Xu Ying were her admirers. Other than the males from other schools who did not know the truth about her, there were many pretty girls. I recall that you wrote a love letter to me before. Why? Has seeing other girls in university caused a change of heart? Xu Ying smiled. Zhang Shan could not tell if she was serious or joking. Zhang Shan did not know whether to laugh or cry. What love letter? That was a challenge letter. You beat my classmate, I was just taking revenge for him. No wonder your love letter looked so different. In that case, I'm relieved. Looks like I'm not the reason that you transferred to the mecha department. Xu Ying laughed. She was also from the mecha department, however, she was not in Ares College, but in Apollo College from the Americas. It was a cross-regional invitation to attend their college. Miss, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Shall we go in and train? Zhang Shan pointed to the gravitational room. Sure. 10 minutes later, Xu Ying pressed Zhang Shan onto the floor. Xu Ying was surprised. You have gotten stronger. Of course. I graduated from IG training camp, again. You're no match for me. Xu Ying was very calm. Zhang Shan had good basic skills. It was a pity he had not had any systematic training. His skills were a little messy. To her, with his skills at this level, even though he was stronger than her, she could still beat him easily. Her kung fu was not there just for show. 1 hour later, after being beaten 16 times, Zhang Shan finally succeeded in holding Xu Ying, the little dojo master, down. He could not suppress his feelings and let out an animalistic howl. Are you supposed to be happy to have beaten a woman? This sentence dimmed someone's sense of achievement. You're right. Haha, okay, you have more potential than me. It's a pity you did not undergo any systematic training. All of your attacks are based on brute strength. You need to use techniques in a fight. After joking, Xu Ying, the little dojo master, started to teach Zhang Shan. There were some things that could not be learned from attending school. Formulating personal fighting styles or methods would take double the effort without any professional guidance. Another hour passed quickly. Okay, we'll stop here today. Okay. Zhang Shang was reluctant to end his training. He looked at Xu Ying with fire in his eyes. Suddenly, I feel that dating you might not be that bad an idea. Get out of my sight. Xu Ying glared fiercely at Zhang Shan. Tisk, tomboy, I'll get going. Let's fight again tomorrow. Zhang Shan massaged his sore shoulders and waved goodbye. Actually, he did not put in his full strength. The main point was not to win, but to learn techniques from the fight. Xu Ying was much stronger than him in this aspect. Just as he was leaving, Zhang Shan suddenly recalled something. How did you know that I changed my major? Knowing that he participated in IG was nothing, but the fact that he had transferred to the mecha department, that should have been a secret. Your younger sister told me. Don't tell me you have yet to tell your family that you changed your major? My God, I'm dead. He had to face the music sooner or later. Just as Zhang Shan reached home, he saw both his younger sister and brother sitting quietly at the hall. His mother was busy arranging the cutlery at the dining table. His father was sitting at the main seat reading the Skylink news. Zhang Deu heard Zhang Shan entering the house. He raised his head and looked at Zhang Shan. You are back, let's eat first, his mother called out. Zhang Deu glanced at Zhang Shan before he sat down. I heard that you have transferred to the mecha department. Zhang Shan nodded. Yes, Dad. I've spoken to your head of department. You have no difficulties or problems in your studies, and your exam results also meet expectations. Why give up physics? Zhang Deu was a little heartbroken. He was not a controlling father, but seeing his son being so foolish, he was filled with pain and regret. Dad, I think that the mecha department is more suitable for me. Compared to research, I prefer the rush of adrenaline during a fight. Furthermore, I want to enlist in the army. Enlistment? Zhang Deu thought that the eldest son whom he was always proud of had become a stranger. He belonged to a family of scholars, yet he had raised a son who wanted to be a soldier. Zhang Deu could not react to this sudden revelation. Da Shan, I don't support the idea of you enlisting. It's too dangerous. Besides, isn't it good to be a respectable scientist like your father? Zhang Shan's mother also opposed his decision. Dad, in the past, I did enjoy studying physics. That's because the people around me praised me for doing well. They said that I'm indeed your son. Eagles do not breed doves. At that point, I also thought that this was what I needed. But after attending university, I realized that that kind of happiness was not what I wanted, but rather a sense of vanity. I've always based my ambitions on your expectations, until I found out what it was like to pilot a mech. That visceral feeling, that is truly what I really want. Having reached this step, Zhang Shan simply said whatever was on his mind. Zhang Deu frowned. These were not valid reasons. You are not a child anymore. You should be more realistic. Besides, you have such talent for physics. Zhang Shan had talent. This was why his father pinned so much hope on him. One person might have talent in many different aspects, but physics was obviously the more suitable path for Zhang Shan's future development. As a father, he could also give Zhang Shan the greatest assistance. I do not deny this, but the purpose of life is to be able to do what one wants to do. That kind of feeling is different. I feel every one of my cells brimming with energy. Also, what I learned in the past can also be useful as a mech warrior. The third phase of the IG training camp was anti-gravity training, and I, your son, placed first in that training. Dad, this is all because you taught me. Do you think that I would be rash in making such an important decision? I considered for a whole semester before making up my mind. Zhang Shan spoke seriously, and the most important part was that Zhang Shan had already matured. His body language exuded a sense of decisiveness. No, it's too dangerous. Even if your father agrees, I will not. Once his mom opened her mouth, the decision was made. Even though his dad was the head of the household, it was always his mom who gave the final order. Ahem, Mom, I am, in any case, a student of Ares College. It's not as bad as you think. I will become a commander. What, are you imagining that I will actually be one of those recruits that fight on the front line? Zhang Shan laughed. It was actually much easier to convince his mother. In this case, does this mean it is not dangerous? Of course it isn't. Why else would people join? Zhang Shan patted his chest and reassured, besides, my intellect will help me defeat any opponent in a split second. Zhang Shan sweet-talked until his parents were speechless. He explained his own ambition for life and he shared philosophy after philosophy. Finally, he managed to muddle his way through and convince them. At night, Zhang Shan's younger sister ran into his room. Brother, Sister Shu just messaged me. She asked what time you will be going to the martial training hall tomorrow. Don't tell me you and Sister Shu are together. Why doesn't she have your Skylink? Which one? That tomboy. Well, she looks fine, but she's not my type. Oh, right, if there's no need to, don't get close to her. Recalling that 2/3 of Xu Ying's admirers were young girls, Zhang Shan decided that he needed to prevent his younger sister from falling for her. Brother, don't you insult Sister Shu. She is very gentle. Come on, what time will you be going? Afternoon, 1 to 4 p.m. I have other training plans before that. Oh, okay, brother, I think you are more handsome now. I support you, do your best. She waved her tiny fist. Actually, this was her main purpose for going into her brother's room. Go do your homework, little girl. Just as his younger sister left, his younger brother ran into his room. What do you want, you rascal? Brother, what are you up to? You have such talent in physics. Why are you going to the mecha department? Dad was just asking about my homework. This time around I'm dead. The heavy responsibility of inheriting the Zhang family's scholarly reputation in physics is going to fall on me. Are you sure you have the heart to see me get destroyed under so much pressure? He sat on Zhang Shan's bed and pulled out an adult magazine from under the mattress, his actions all too familiar. What the heck? How can you hide these things in my room? Well, since you are at university, it's not like you'll be at home. Hiding a few things will not. What? Hey, aren't we brothers? Zhang Shan grabbed his younger brother by his shirt and threw him out of the door. Don't look at those things in my room. After locking the door, he turned around, lifted up the mattress, and not surprisingly, there were a lot of adult magazines. Each magazine was a collectible which cost $100. Every page was an electronic moving picture. There were even 10 pages where 3D glasses were needed to see the whole 3D picture. His younger brother had spent half of his allowance on these things. John Sean was heartbroken. After flipping through the magazines, John Sean decided to adopt a critical perspective to judge how far his brother had fallen. After reading for a while, John Sean went out to run 20,000 meters in an effort to clear his head. At the balcony of the master bedroom, Jong Dae watched as his oldest son ran further and further. He grunted. His wife approached him from behind, carrying some freshly brewed coffee. Still angry? Our son has grown up. He is capable of making his own decisions. Sigh, this rascal really has a talent for physics. It is such a waste. Do you think that the physics world can't progress without the Jong family? Weren't you stopped in the act when you tried to secretly enlist? This child is just like you. Jong Dae smiled. Those were events from his younger days. In the end, he gave up his dreams and instead fulfilled his dad's aspirations. It was not easy to stick to one's own ambitions. Didn't you also oppose his decision? I was just testing him to see if he had thought it through. That rascal even tried to sweet-talk me. He forgot who gave birth to him. The two of them let out a knowing smile as they watched their son. Since that little rascal has made his decision, go forth bravely, be a man. Even if you fail, you did not make the wrong choice. Jong Dae said lightly. Meanwhile, Jong Sean, in his mad dash, let out a howl at the night sky. God, he should not have looked at those R-rated things. Wang Jung wanted to laze around, but Xiao Fei reminded him repeatedly before he left, going as far as to get Yi Zisu to monitor him. As a result, Wang Jung was forced to wear a suit and a tie. Boss, it's not as if it's a date. Hurry up and come out, Yan Xiaoshu shouted from outside. Luckily, they did not need to go. From a young age, the thing Yan Xiaoshu could not stand most was hanging out with those pompous, good students, much less the gathering later, where the best of the good students were going to attend. It was like hell. He pitied Wang Jung, who had to endure such gatherings. Don't shout. What is this button for? Boss, that is called a cufflink. Tyrant Su shouted. I think it's better that you don't go. Yan Xiaoshu, are you asking for trouble again? Don't be so useless. Wang Jung will be successful in the future, and he will have to attend these kind of gatherings again. And Mei glared. No, I grew up with boss wearing the same pair of pants every day. I know him the best. These restrictive places are not suitable for us. Wearing suits and tying ties. I cannot imagine ourselves doing this. Yan Xiaoshu waved his hands helplessly. The two of them were used to being free. Ever since he was described as a country bumpkin the first time he wore a suit, he never wore one again. After a while, Wang Jung walked out. Does this button need to be so tight? Okay, I'm ready. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Yo, I couldn't tell that you had such a good body, and Mei laughed. Yi Zisu nodded her head. Just right, not bad. Wang Jung laughed. Wearing this is really troublesome. Casual wear is still more comfortable. Haha, this is called formal wear. Actually, it is simply a disguise, but it is quite suitable for these kinds of gatherings. Go outshine them, Yan Xiaoshu said. Yan Xiaoshu, don't be such a prankster. All those who are attending this time are famous and powerful people. Please do not embarrass Professor Xiao Fei. Don't hit my head, I'm just saying it for fun. It's alright, I guess it's just a formality. Let's go. And Mei locked arms with Yi Zisu and whispered, the size is just right. You paid a lot of attention to this, Miss Yi. You only know how to make fun of me. And Mei pursed her lips and said, I didn't know that Wang Jung could look this handsome in formal wear. Tisk tisk. Looks like I have to force my man to train his body. His small tummy is almost showing. Don't bully Xiaoshu so much. Someone who's always in such a good mood is hard to find. I'm doing it for his own good. And Mei laughed. The four of them took the maglev car and soon they reached their destination, except only Wang Jung would be going into the gathering. If you guys have nothing to do, you can walk around nearby. Who knows, I may be out in a little while, Wang Jung said. Sure, try to stay a little longer. I think this is a good chance. We'll wait for you, Yi Zisu said. Wang Jung tidied his tie. It kept feeling crooked to him. God, just what kind of life was this? Wang Jung had not arrived early. As he stepped through the door, he saw a familiar face, Niçoise. Niçoise was not surprised by his arrival. Wang Jung, welcome. Please come in, everyone is waiting to get to know you. There were already more than 10 youngsters in the hall. They were all dressed in formal wear. The girls, on the other hand, were vying to be the most outstanding beauty. They would not neglect their appearances just because they loved to study. This was the nature of women. As evidenced by looking at Xiao Fei, those studious, nerdy girls looked like existences from a few hundred years ago. The two people who he met previously at the restaurant came forward as well. Rambo, from the Moses Star, recipient of the Biology Contribution Award. Rambo smiled. The Moses Star was an affiliate of the Andromeda system. Terry, recipient of the Interstellar Network Contribution Award, from the Sagittarius system, Spectrum Star. It's an honor to meet you at last. The three of them sized Wang Jung up as though they were looking at an animal. Niçoise smiled. Wang Jung is the pride of Earth. He has won the highest award. We pale in comparison to him. It is only right that all of us learn from him. As he said this, Niçoise wanted to pat Wang Jung on the shoulder. Wang Jung moved away subtly, avoiding him. Wang Jung despised such people. Niçoise acted as if he was in charge every time he saw Wang Jung. This made Wang Jung look like his subordinate. Niçoise was stunned. He had not expected Wang Jung to react in such a rude manner, but he quickly regained his composure. Gentlemen, this is Wang Jung. The rest of them took one sweeping glance at Wang Jung and then resumed their own conversations. They barely paid any attention to him. Niçoise shrugged his shoulders grudgingly. Don't take it to heart. Those who are here are the cream of the crop. They will be a little resentful because you alone won the top award. Wang Jung smiled. Whining will not contribute to growth. It seems like they still need more practice. When a conversation failed to hold, even half a sentence would seem too much. Besides, Wang Jung had not come to bicker. He took a random seat. There was food and drinks, and he would leave after eating, like he usually did. Xiao Fei would not find fault in him. After all, he did attend the gathering. That kid is quite arrogant. He's just trying to hide his inferiority. Niçoise, if you were on Earth, he wouldn't have this chance at all. Niçoise was approved by immigration to go to Roland Garros a long time ago. He wouldn't go to such a place. Niçoise's face showed a hint of unhappiness. He did not like that he was from Earth. He was now a citizen of Roland Garros. Let me tell you guys a secret. Some big shot will be arriving tonight. Just wait and see. Oh, who? You guys will have to wait to see who it is. That guy really has an appetite. Shall we have some fun with him? Forget it, this is our gathering. Our mentors will be arriving later. Just let him sit there. Niçoise took a look at the corner. He thought that Wang Jung was just an embarrassment. It would be below his level to bully him. Wang Jung had a good time eating. Other than the good food, there was not much meaning to this kind of gathering. The people around him were chatting and gossiping about him. It was not a surprise that Wang Jung was the center of gossip. He was the recipient of the highest award from the Milky Way Alliance this time around. However, unlike the others who had years of results and dissertations, Wang Jung was a dark horse in this year's award recipients. Obviously, these people thought that it was because of Xiao Fei that Wang Jung won the award. What sort of ability did it show to depend on one's teacher? Wang Jung could not be bothered to explain. He ignored the gossip. It was not as if he would lose a piece of meat over their words. You are that student Wang Jung? Wang Jung raised his head. I think that's me. The girl stifled a laugh. You are quite humorous. We all thought that you would not come. Why? Wang Jung smiled. This girl was about the same age as him. Haha, I just received some internal news. This time, the highest award will be presented personally by Princess Aina. You were already attracting resentment, now you will just attract even more hate. After all, these guys are all trying their best to get to know Princess Aina. Oh. Wang Jung's heart warmed. After a moment of surprise, he understood. He guessed that Princess Aina was coming only because she knew he would come. That's all. The girl pushed her glasses and sat down. Let's get to know each other. Caragal Republic, Xie Yachting, Bioengineering. Hi, Wang Jung, Earth, Physics, Wang Jung said. Here, we can be considered old neighbors. Yes, and your dress is very pretty. Is that so? I think so too. But they don't seem to think too highly of those from the solar system, Xie Yachting said. She had put in much effort for her attire today. She did not know that the people here would all be so arrogant. They were not here to meet friends, they were here to boast. We do not need their approval. Wang Jung continued eating without a care. Xie Yachting placed a glass of wine beside Wang Jung. Just at that point, Wang Jung was a little choked, so he downed the glass of wine. You are quite the philosophical person. They are ignoring you on purpose. Before you arrived, these people were discussing how to put you down. They were all saying how you depended on. Xie Yachting suddenly covered her mouth. She felt a little embarrassed. Wang Jung swallowed a mouthful of fish. That I depended on my teacher? Well, isn't it only natural for students to depend on their teachers? Wang Jung was very open about it. He knew that the atmosphere at the gathering would be unwelcoming. He felt like a fish out of water. Perhaps he was never the research type. These people were too proud. The mecha department was more honest and down to earth. Two grandly dressed girls walked over and said, totally ignoring Wang Jung, Xie Yachting, do you want to come over here? There's nothing you can talk about with him. It was as if it was too lowly to be seen talking to Wang Jung. I think I'm fine here, Xie Yachting said. The two girls exchanged looks and turned away. Well, they match. Yes, that's true. Only she would wear such an unfashionable shade of pink. Without her, there's no comparison and we wouldn't seem so graceful. Even though they spoke softly, Wang Jung heard everything clearly. Xie Yachting also heard some of the conversation. They are just immature kids. This caviar is not bad, Wang Jung said. Xie Yachting looked at Wang Jung. You are quite broad-minded. Not bad, at least I met an interesting person. What are you doing later? After my teacher arrives, I will be going. My friends are waiting for me outside. I heard that the authority of each field will be attending. It will be a good opportunity to socialize with them, especially in such a private gathering like this. Xie Yachting looked very regretful for Wang Jung, who would be missing this opportunity. It is not my ambition to be a scholar. I'm transferring to the mecha department next year, Wang Jung said as he ate. Peef. Xie Yachting could not suppress her shock and sprayed champagne on Wang Jung's face. Wang had good reflexes, but he only avoided half the champagne. Oh my, I'm so sorry. I did not do it on purpose. How could you change departments? The school would never agree. Xie Yachting quickly took out some tissues to help Wang Jung clean up. I'm really sorry. Such an important event, yet his suit was dirtied. Xie Yachting did not know what to do. Wang Jung waved his hand. It's all right, I'm just here for formality's sake. I'll be leaving soon. Just then, the hall was in an uproar. Xiao Fei, Marcus, and three middle-aged men walked in together. The students who were present all crowded around them. Xiao Fei and Marcus were creating quite a stir. The students looked down on Wang Jung, but they idolized Xiao Fei. The breakthrough this time bought Xiao Fei the reputation of being the physicist of the century. You should know, only physicists could become the greatest scientists. Until now, no other field of study could replace physics. Xiao Fei was definitely in the limelight, especially because she was so young. Together with her and Marcus were authoritative figures from three other fields of study. They were obviously familiar with each other. Xiao Fei had come prepared this time. She was moving from theoretical to experimental physics, and she required the help of experts from various fields. For example, experts from the material sciences. At this moment, those youngsters who were acting all high and mighty just now became very humble. Every single one of them was that sincere. Wang Jung, I'm going over. Xie Yachting also wanted to meet her idols. If she missed this opportunity, it would be difficult for her to meet her idols. Wang Jung nodded. To him, these reactions were normal. It would be good if only no one attempted to create trouble for him. Xiao Fei looked towards him. Wang Jung waved and pointed outside. It was a signal that he was leaving. Professor Dong, that is Wang Jung. Haven't you always wanted to meet him? Mr. Dong, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up. Oh, is that so? I've heard of him many times. I am curious to see how impressive he is. Seeing Xiao Fei waving towards him, Wang Zheng had no choice but to walk over. Wang Zheng, this is Professor Dong Shuiwu, a titan in the study of spatial physics. Xiao Fei winked. Wang Zheng was helpless. He had fallen into another trap. He knew that he should not have come. Upon hearing the word titan, he was fearful. Young man, I heard from Xiao Fei that you came up with the idea leading the breakthrough in locating spatial migration. Also, on the way here, you had other new thoughts? Dong Shuiwu asked. I was taught well by my two mentors, how could I have any original thoughts? Wang Zheng did not want to bring up any ideas here. If he did, he would be bogged down with questions from these experts. Just by looking at Professor Dong's stance, Wang Zheng knew that he was looking for trouble. Teacher, Wang Zheng is too humble. Just the other day when I bumped into him, he was not like this. He had many opinions regarding today's field of physics, Niswa suddenly said, even giving Wang Zheng a sincere smile. Wang Zheng did not think that Niswas could be so devious. He really was an expert in undermining people. If he rebutted at this point, other people would naturally think that he was hypocritical. Oh, Xiao Fei, your disciple is quite boastful. Even I would not dare to say that in the field of physics today, Dong Shuiwu said lightly. Wang Zheng could sense something. Xiao Fei's reputation had grown exponentially recently, and Dong Shuiwu might have been pressured by Xiao Fei's growing fame. This man was here to make things difficult. Battles in the intellect world were no less intense than that of the battlefield. In fact, they were even more underhanded. Looking at the situation now, that seemed true. Senior Dong, it's not only in today's physics world, but the whole of the science realm is filled with talents. There are many of them just in today's gathering. Wang Zheng smiled, showing absolutely no hints of anger. It was child's play to think that this tiny ruse would rile him up. The other mentors actually also understood this kind of atmosphere. They did not really want it to be too awkward. Wang Zheng, even though you've achieved some results, you have to remain humble. You should especially learn more from your teachers. HMPH, the path to achieving a career in science should be slow, steady, and careful. Look at you, dressed so poorly even in such a formal occasion. How could such a person do well in their studies? Dong Shuiwu was quite harsh. He was not only warning Wang Zheng, but also taking the chance to put Xiao Fei down. His intention was to put across the message that even though Xiao Fei had achieved a small breakthrough, he was the true expert. Xie Yating, who was pushed out, felt anxious. Offending Dong Shuiwu in the field of physics equated to destroying one's future in that field. Xiao Fei continued smiling. She had no intention of siding with her student. This was because she knew that this rascal, Wang Zheng, was not one to be bullied. You would be fine if you did not provoke him, but once you did, he would not care if you were a nobody or a titan. Considering Professor Dong's age, Wang Zheng tolerated him. However, his constant snide remarks seemed to never end. Just as Wang Zheng wanted to open his mouth, a jovial voice came from the entrance. Dong, you idiot. Are you a model? What's the use of dressing pretty? Having real abilities is the most important. Gale, a man looking like Colonel Sanders, the mascot of Kentucky Fried Chicken, walked in. He walked up to Wang Zheng swiftly and sized him up. Old Mew, I'm not wrong, am I? I told you that this rascal was sure to be the award recipient this time. The best contribution awardee, Wang Zheng, I said it. Other than you, there will be no one else. Xiao Fei, you. This girl. You are really too much, Teacher Gale. What brought you here? Didn't you say you were? Xiao Fei looked surprised too. TCH, if it's just these people, why would I come? But this rascal here is another matter. You rascal, you're not playing fair. How could you run away after winning? I had to search for a whole day before I could find you. As he said this, he held onto Wang Zheng's arm, afraid that he would disappear again without a sound or peep. The whole hall fell silent. What was going on? Gale, why are you running so quickly? At such an old age, aren't you afraid of falling? Mu Fengchun's voice broke the silence. Old Mu, I won this time. I told you this rascal would definitely be here. The students were very excited by Mu Fengchun's arrival. Xiao Fei might have been famous, but her rise to fame was short and her influence was limited. More than 10 years ago, the most influential scientist would be Alan Tucker. Now, the current era was most definitely owned by Mu Fengchun. Young man, you are being disrespectful. How can you leave after bullying your elders? Mu Fengchun laughed. In his presence, Dong Shuiwu could no longer put on airs. Regardless of knowledge or position, Mu Fengchun was much more respected. Even Gale was better than him. At this moment, more than 10 people walked in. Those present at the gathering were dumbfounded. This was the Milky Way Alliance giving out a Nobel Prize? Xiao Fei, our group of old friends are just here for the fun. There shouldn't be any problem, right? What are you saying? All of you are our distinguished guests, Xiao Fei said as she glared at Wang Zheng. This rascal, she only looked away for a second and he had created such a commotion. Mu Fengchun laughed and nodded his head. Little Dong, you are not young anymore, show some character and be more supportive towards your juniors. Dong Shuiwu almost choked at Mu's comment, however, he was in no position to rebut. All he could do was nod his head. Please make yourself comfortable, and continue with what you were doing. We old men just want to talk to this rascal. This statement caused a stir. What was this group of academia authorities looking for from a student? Ahem, old Mu, this boy did not get into any trouble, did he? Xiao Fei asked worriedly. Oh, yes, he did. This rascal bullied me. Marcus, don't tell me you taught him his mathematics skills, Gale said. Gale was the famous big mouth of the mathematical world. Even so, there was no doubt to how extensive his abilities were. Marcus was stunned. He knew that Wang Zheng was hiding his abilities, but he did not expect him to be that talented. He is from the physics stream. I would like to teach him, but he is not interested. I knew it. If your students could beat me, I might as well kill myself with a piece of tofu. Kid, who taught you mathematics? Gale was filled with curiosity. Who was this genius? It was most definitely not Xiao Fei. Wang Zheng was helpless. He could not betray the old merchant. He scratched his head. I read it up in the library. Sometimes I would have my own speculations. I'm not even sure if my speculations are right or not. Just speculations, and you solved the Mu 5 dimensions reaction problem that perplexed me for 2 years? If that's the case, should we all just retire? Mu Fengchun laughed. Multiple discussions were raised immediately. This was nothing to joke about. Marcus was stunned again. You really solved the problem? Wang Zheng felt that he made another mistake. It was all old merchant's fault that he had formed the bad habit of having the urge to solve any problem he laid his eyes on. Such poor restraint. I just thought of it randomly, I'm not even sure if it's right. You call that simply a random thought? Kid, with such talent in mathematics, you should just transfer schools. Come to my school, I will help you migrate to Aslan, Gale said. Xiao Fei and Marcus's faces turned white. Ahem, Senior Gale, how could you recruit our talents like this? Our whole project is relying on Wang Zheng. Haha, Gale, you are in the wrong this time. It is the fortune of humanity to have a talent like him. I think he should come to Roland Garros. I will provide you with the best learning environment. Also, you can enjoy the convenience of meeting elites from various countries. Everyone froze. Was this a dream? Even Mu Fengchun was taking the initiative to headhunt Wang Zheng. This was like a dream. Many people have aimed to learn from Mu Fengchun, but failed to even get a look from him. That's right, kid. You are already a lifelong member of Genesis Coffee. If you stay in Roland Garros, you can get the greatest assistance in other aspects too. A middle-aged man smiled gently. Wang Zheng, this is Professor Roland, an authority in the field of chemistry and material science. Mu Fengchun introduced. Universe's Genesis Coffee, that was the most prestigious place in the whole of the Milky Way science world. Each member was an elite of various professions. They possessed huge influence, and this year, the club was prepared to draw Xiao Fei and Marcus into its fold. This was interesting. The teacher had yet to become a member while the student was already a member. Like Niçoise, the other students froze. Genesis Coffee, that was not simply any club. That club was a symbol of identity and status. As a member, you could enjoy the highest level of treatment in Roland Garros, the crown of the science world. It was unheard of that a student could become a member. Xie Yachting covered her mouth. What was this situation? What happened? Was this the same guy as the one who was eating happily and ignoring everything else just now? Ahem, Teacher Mu. Wang Zheng's greatest talent lies not in mathematics, but in physics. On the way here, Wang Zheng raised an idea regarding transference upon curvature convection. This theory brings our theoretical research to new heights. This was not the time to joke. Xiao Fei was getting anxious. This rascal was so worrisome. Oh, this, everyone got absorbed in their own thoughts. Shortly after, Mu Fengchen and Gale could not hold back and clapped their hands. This idea, it's fantastic, but it's quite troublesome to prove. If you need help, just let us know. Naturally, Mu Fengchen had no need to compete for credit. Besides, mathematics was the root of all sciences. It is, of course, great, if you are willing to help. Xiao Fei and Marcus smiled. Mu Fengchen and Gale did not need to be involved in all details of the project. Just their assistance in key areas would speed up the research progress by a lot. There was no denying that intellect alone could not exceed experience gained over time. The exception was this weirdo, Wang Zheng. Niçoise and other students finally understood. This group of people had come for Wang Zheng. This guy was not depending on his teacher. It may even be the case that the teacher was depending on him. Xiao Fei, why hasn't it started? Mu Fengchen and his group had intended to pull Wang Zheng away as soon as it started and then use the carrot and stick method to get him to go with them. Two guests are not here yet, Xiao Fei said and looked towards the entrance, just as I mentioned them. Everyone looked towards the entrance, and their gazes became heated. There was a type of person who, wherever they go, would be the center of attention. With Aina Aslan's appearance, every professor or mentor was immediately thrown behind anyone's thoughts. When Xiao Fei was organizing this event, she did not invite Aina. She thought that there was no way Aina would be interested, but Aina had taken the initiative to ask for an invitation. Xiao Fei was, of course, welcoming. While she did not go to Aslan for multiple reasons, frankly speaking, Aslan was Xiao Fei's favorite place. As long as one was alive, one would have to give up some things for what one was committed to. This is the last VIP, Princess Aslan. Teacher Xiao Fei, just call me Aina. Today I'm here to learn, Aina said, each sentence gracefully said. Everyone was impressed, some even wanted to applaud. Ever since she arrived, Aina's eyes never left Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng's gaze was passionate. They were separated only for a few months, but to them it felt like a few years. Most importantly, they had no way of contacting each other. Aina's appearance caused the atmosphere to change. Xiao Fei turned and said, Senior Mu, let's go inside. With us here, they cannot interact freely. Aina did have a distinguished status. Even though she would not show off her status, the mentors at the gathering were not young, so it was not very convenient. Haha, all right, we shall not disturb the youngsters, Mu Fengchen laughed. Xiao Fei signaled Wang Zheng to leave. If he continued to stay, there was no knowing what those old foxes would do. Princess Aslan was indeed different, but Xiao Fei kept feeling that she had seen her before, perhaps on television. Once the mentors left, the youngsters become energetic and lively again. Distinguished Princess, I'm Teacher Dong's student, Niçoise. It is such an honor to meet you. Any male student with a bit of confidence was encouraged by Aina's appearance to show off. Anyone could get lost in her beautiful set of eyes. Aina smiled and nodded while she walked towards Wang Zheng. As a princess, unlike the average citizen, she had to display good etiquette. Wang Zheng just stood there. He had to restrain himself from giving in to his impulse to hug Aina. You must be Wang Zheng. Nice to meet you. May I ask you a few questions? Aina was always dazzling no matter where she was. Wang smiled. Let's move to a quieter place. The crowd was stunned. This guy was so shameless. The princess was only being polite. This guy was pushing his luck. But to everyone's surprise, Aina nodded. Niçoise, are there other rooms here? Upon hearing that the princess remembered his name, Niçoise was happy beyond words. Sure, there is a room just beside here. Thank you, Wang Zheng. This way, Your Highness. The two of them sounded like a couple, leaving the rest to stare at each other in the hall. Damn, this is nonsensical. Where did this popper come from? Could it be that he really proved Mu's hypothesis? Teacher Mu personally confirmed it. Surely that cannot be wrong. Although Marcus is pretty good, it surely could not be at such a level. There is still such a genius. Student Wang had shaken the world views of this bunch of geniuses. How dare this person spend time with Princess Aina? Is he not afraid of shortening his lifespan? I think, given this person's situation, it will only take a minute before he gets chased out by the princess. I really cannot think of what he could speak to the princess about. If he can even start a conversation, that would already be considered pretty good. Xie Yachting felt like today's events were dreamlike. Finally, two people from the solar system had won awards. One of them was her, the other was Wang Zheng from Earth. When she was speaking to her little uncle Rastan, he also mentioned this person in passing. Of course, while she and Rastan did not have a large age gap, he was considered more senior in status. Regarding this, Xie Yachting was very helpless. The person who won the Milky Way Alliance Physics Prize was actually a member of the solar system's IG competition. Rastan was Karagal's idol and pride of the students. The difficulty of IG was common knowledge, and yet Wang Zheng had managed to get past the first round. This news shocked many. This caused Xie Yachting to think that all the contributions that Wang Zheng made was due to Xiao Fei. She was the one who actually truly deserved such an award. In the end, just what sort of person was he? In Aina's absence, everyone in the hall looked lost and seemed suddenly unable to talk about anything interesting. However, just as they predicted, Wang Zheng did not have time to speak. As soon as they entered through the door, Aina was in Wang Zheng's arms. Wang Zheng completely could not control himself. He always thought of himself who had complete control of his emotions. However, upon seeing Aina, all that control was lost. Losing it was fine. After all, he was not a machine. Aina felt like she was melting into Wang Zheng. Even after a while, Wang Zheng continued hugging Aina. They faced each other, almost like they were peering into each other's souls. Can you let me down? Aina said softly, like a kitten in Wang Zheng's arms. She was pretty much as weightless as a cloud to Wang Zheng. No way, Wang Zheng asserted. Aina blushed. Looking at her chest, she felt a heat that made her feel completely love-drunk. I really should not have come to meet you. I get bullied the moment I see you, Aina said, smitten. Women's sarcasm, even silly Wang Zheng could read between the lines. You must have owed me something in your past life. You are destined to repay it in this lifetime, so you should acknowledge your fate. Wang Zheng gently caressed Aina's face and kissed her soft, elegant lips. He was not as crazed as moments ago. This time, he was tender. Bit by bit, he made her his own. At times, men could truly get the hang of things without a teacher. His tongue pried open Aina's lips and chased Aina's small tongue. Complete arrested, Aina could not speak. In the hall, all the male students were distracted. Women who were considered very attractive just moments ago had completely lost their charm. It had already been 10 minutes and the two people were nowhere in sight. How could it be that a plain earthling could have a conversation with the princess for a full 10 minutes? Niçoise was fuming mad. He was on the verge of slapping himself. He should never have mentioned that there was a room at the side. The princess is too easygoing. I fear that Professor Gale said something to her. Aslan rewards talent. Perhaps it is to let him migrate to Aslan. He is just too young. Besides, who knows whether or not he will fade into obscurity in the future. Aslan's standards are not so sloppy. That is right. Wang Zheng and Aina did not stay for too long, because it was too inconvenient here. Everyone, Wang Zheng and I will first take our leave. Glad to meet everyone. Feel free to drop by Aslan anytime. Aina smiled. She was angelic and heavenly to the point where no one could reject her. Wang Zheng followed her lead and became elegant. Princess, please. This demeanor still required a little more effort. By the time everyone started to react, the two had already left. The hall was like a frying pan. That brat, who knew that he was capable of such sweet words? The princess is too naive. She should not have trusted his nonsense. Even if he had some achievement, she is clearly out of his league. The princess has been to Earth. This brat must have used that story to capture the princess's attention. A group of men were in deep sorrow. They could tell stories too, and surely in a way that was better than Wang Zheng. There was a coffee room close to the meeting area. Yi Zixu quietly sipped tea and watched television. She enjoyed waits like these. It was not boring to her. And May, on the other hand, did not have such patience. She had left to play with Yan Xiaozu. At this moment, the host on television revealed a bright smile. In the latest news, the upcoming Milky Way Alliance invited an important guest of honor. She is none other than the Aslan Empire's first princess, Aina Aslan. On television, Aina's sheer elegance attracted everyone's attention. Yi Zissou could only quietly watch. Her gaze revealed a sense of bitterness. As soon as they left the meeting hall, Wang Zheng and Aina both let out sighs of relief. As they made eye contact, a whistle was heard. Hey, can you guys not be so mushy? Get in the car. Lin Weiyan could barely stand it. The older female cousin's intellect was falling. There was no sense of danger in spite of it being Roland Garros. A car which was magnetically levitated arrived. Lin Weiyan was in the driver's seat. The little loli was still as cute as ever. I will drive for a while. You can do whatever you want as long as you know your boundaries. You are not mature adults after all. Lin Weiyan warned. Wang Zheng and Aina could neither laugh nor cry. The divider rose. Lin Weiyan finally started driving the magnetic car and continued with her businesses. She gave off the vibe of playing the role of a spy in a movie and seemed to be having a lot of fun. Although such soundproofing was really effective, with Lin Weiyan in the front, the two no longer acted as passionately. Does that girl have a driver's license? Don't worry. Apart from being unable to fly a spaceship, she can do everything else, said Aina. The technical training for serving royals was extremely comprehensive. The two had not seen each other in a while, and because of that, they had lots to talk about. To two people in passionate love, any small issue could turn into hour-long conversational topics. Weiyan was lost for words. Initially, she thought she'd have a chance to demonstrate her skills since she seldom got to drive. But after a while, she started to get slightly annoyed. How could they have so much to talk about? If not for the time limit of the trip home, Weiyan believed that the two could speak till the end of time. Aina first dropped off Wang Zheng. At the point of departure, the two were still reluctant to separate. Weiyan could longer endure it. Are you okay? There are still several days to go. I cannot stand to watch this. Lin Weiyan curled her lips. She had seen this scene many times in movies, but she had always wondered, could hormones really influence the behavior of people to such a great extent? Aina finally went back into the vehicle. The two waved each other goodbye and Wang Zheng, humming a happy tune, made his way back to the hotel. Only with waiting and anticipation would there be greater joy. That was life. Sister, what were you talking about? What took you so long? Lin Weiyan was interested in investigating. Nothing much. Aina was still engrossed in the joy of reuniting with Wang Zheng. At the same time, she was extremely proud of him. This was what she loved about him. He was full of ability but yet still so grounded. This was not feigned. It was his personality. Aina had arrived back at the ceremony. She was surprised at the amount of people present. Looking at the wonderful scene in front of her, if it was anyone else, they would definitely have wanted to show off. However, Wang Zheng remained calm and collected. Deep down, they were both the same in terms of personality. Aina, being a princess, hated people who placed too much emphasis on her status. People ought to be authentic. Given their current situation, if we give them a hand, he could transfer to a school in Aslan. Aina shook her head gently. What does it mean when you shake your head? Did you suggest it or did he not acknowledge it? I did not say anything. Even if I said it, he would not acknowledge it. How can that be? Could it be that he does not know the meaning of being part of Aslan's community? Besides, there is no need to keep such a distance. I do not believe this. Weiyan curled her lips. This was not logical. Aina smiled. He is Wang Zheng. The sensation made Wang Zheng seem like a mysterious prince of Atlantis. Aina did not give any time for Weiyan to explain. Wang Zheng had his pride and honor. If you liked a boy, there was no need to trade his honor for anything. Indifferent, Lin Weiyan shook her head. She felt that after her sister fell in love with Wang Zheng, her style of handling matters became rather odd. Nevertheless, this was fine, as proximity invited trouble. Their mother in particular could not know about this. When Wang Zheng returned to the hotel, he found Yan Xiaozu alone in the hall waiting for him. Bro, you're back. Was the gathering interesting? Yan Xiaozu asked. Wang Zheng laughed and pointed at his chest. Others may not understand. Yan Xiaozu stared blankly for a moment before responding. What could it be? Gosh, it cannot be. That was fast. Let's talk more when we get back. Wang Zheng patted Yan Xiaozu's shoulder. Good news ought to be shared. The only person whom he could chat with was Yan Xiaozu. Ah, I almost forgot. Zissou is still not back, said Yan Xiaozu as he hit his own head. Wang Zheng asked, wasn't she with you guys? She said she wanted to wait for you. Also, let me think. Oh, right, Menglong coffee shop. It is already so late. Let me go and find her. Wang Zheng was slightly embarrassed. He did say he would be back in a bit. At that point in time, he did not expect Aina to come. The directions were very clear, but Wang Zheng still took about half an hour before he arrived. Along the window sat a beautiful lady who stared blankly at her cup of coffee. At this moment, the waiter walked over. Miss, apologies. I am afraid that we are now closed. You see. Yi Zissou checked the time. Ah, sorry, may I stay for a while longer? Perhaps because of this girl's beauty, the waiter nodded. At most, I can let you stay for another half hour. Actually, the person you are waiting for is probably not coming. A girl's heart was particularly sensitive. Yi Zissou knew this as well, but she refused to leave. Wang Zheng's feet stood rooted to the ground, refusing to budge. His muscular stature seemed to be giving Yi Zissou a lot of trouble. Honestly, Yan Xiaozu and Yi Zissou were considered to be Wang Zheng's closest friends. However, he never expected to give Yi Zissou so much trouble. Wang Zheng was not a rock. As he hesitated to leave, Yi Zissou seemed like she could sense Wang Zheng's emotions and turned back, only to see Wang Zheng blankly staring into space. Although she found it slightly strange, she still gave a small smile. You came. She was like a girlfriend who had waited for very long but still did not flare up upon seeing an extremely late boyfriend. Wang Zheng did not know how to reply. Let's go. Yi Zissou settled the bill. The young waiter could not help but express a look of admiration. He was surprised that a girl with such good temper could still be found. If it were his girlfriend, after waiting for half a day, no, in fact, no more than 10 minutes, she would be headed straight home. Looks like there will be some surprise at today's gathering, said Yi Zissou in an indistinct tone. Wang Zheng was at a loss for words. Regarding this, should he have rejected her? Wang Zheng believed that this was best for Yi Zissou. However, this would be too undignified for Yi Zissou. After all, she had not confessed. If she were to act in such a way, perhaps they could not even be friends thereafter. This situation was clearly beyond Wang Zheng. He was too close to Yi Zissou. When it came to friends, Wang Zheng simply followed and supported them. Seeing Wang Zheng's staccato manner of speech, Yi Zissou could not hold back her laughter. Look at your pensive face, are you afraid that you will fall in love with me? Wang Zheng almost tripped over himself. Well, about that, how is it possible? I am not as narcissistic as Tyrant Su. Brother, at crucial times like these, you have to be my shield. Actually, I do admire you a little bit. I am also very envious of your relationship with Aina, it does seem like a fairy tale. However, don't you get narcissistic, I will not be worse than you. Said Yi Zissou with her smile. She put her hand on Wang Zheng's shoulder. We are close friends after all. Wang Zheng was sweating. Can we be brothers? That is the same. Let's go. Wang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. Indeed, he had been rather narcissistic as of late. Yi Zissou articulating her impression of him was indeed a friendly expression of care and concern. However, Wang Zheng did not notice Yi Zissou's emotional distress. Yi Zissou knew Wang Zheng too well. She knew that he would feel responsible if she fell in love with him and hence decided to settle matters this way. With every step I still miss him. I am led in circles by my memories. I close my eyes and tear. I pretend that nothing is wrong. I really miss you, really miss you. But yet I deceive myself. I really miss you, really miss you. Let this be a secret. I really miss you, really miss you. Let this be buried deep, in my heart. This was the voice of a girl. IG's first preliminary round had ended, but who knew when the real competition would actually begin? A semester had ended on the moon and Moonlight College was now on vacation. This was slightly earlier than that of Earth. Life on the moon indeed had more order and structure. The 8 stars of the moon met for a while before leaving individually. Although Otto's was now eliminated, they were still the strongest. Dong Xiaosa and Pai Xiaoshu both came from the City of Reflection. That was the largest city on the moon, which used to be always covered in darkness. However, today, it was covered with endless light. There was enough light in stored reserves for endless light and warmth. While going towards the dark side of the moon, Dong Xiaosa was reading a novel while Pai Xiaoshu was chatting with his family. I know, yes, Dong Xiaosa will come over for dinner. Mom and Dad will prepare lots of food since he has such a large appetite. Big Eater Dong is coming. Bro, you should have told me sooner. A person of small stature passed by. Her eyes were shining bright and she had a lanky body shape. Although she already possessed the charm of a young lady, she wore a uniform designed for primary school students. Be serious. Where is the signed autograph that I asked you to get? Pai Xiaoshu found this girl to be quite the headache. She looked 18 even though she was 12, and she was already a renowned model of the moon. Yet she was wildly interested in Dong Xiaosa. Don't worry, given that I am doing it myself, it will not be a problem. Pai Xiaochen smiled brightly before she was pushed aside by her mother. Step aside. Is Xiao Dong around? Xiao Qian is still young and immature. In another 3 years, she will be fine, please be patient. Reading his novel, Pai Xiaozu tried to stay focused, but he found himself constantly distracted by the slender, attractive body of the little girl. Pai Xiaoshu hung up on the call and looked at Dong Xiaosa with a smile. Come by my house for a bit. Yes, brother-in-law. With your charm, I have no choice, Dong Xiaozu said helplessly. Oh, drop the brother-in-law thing. Everyone in your house is a brother-in-law. Pai Xiaoshu shouted. The train quickly arrived at Radiant City. After getting off, both Pai Xiaoshu and Dong Xiaosa grew solemn. They were born and bred here, this was their home. Let's go, said Pai Xiaoshu. Dong Xiaosa nodded and they both turned off their devices. After half an hour, they found themselves in front of the gates of a school. Radiant 7th High School. The signboard on the gates was absolutely spotless, glistening with light. A hunchbacked old man carried a bucket, pouring water on the gate. There was also a broom by the corner, suggesting that he was ready to sweep the place clean. Dong Xiaosa and Pai Xiaoshu did not speak and immediately began. Dong Xiaosa took the pail from the old man while Pai Xiaoshu picked up the broom. The two started cleaning. In no time, the campus was cleaned spotlessly by the two. They packed up the cleaning equipment and stood motionless like pillars. What are you doing here? Go inside. Yes, teacher. The two entered the school. Flowers and grass seemed familiar yet foreign. Since it was a break, the school was empty with not a single soul was in sight. The two walked into the fitness room as though they had been here before. In no time, the old man entered as well and shouted, "Come at me, together." The old man stood there lazily, just like any other ordinary old man. However, Dong Xiaozu and Pai Xiaoshu looked extremely serious. One took the left flank and the other took the right. They launched a simultaneous assault on the old man. Clang! The old man's posture immediately changed and he started making explosive movements. The three of them exchanged blows. Dong Xiaosa and Pai Xiaoshu were in front and behind the old man respectively. The three of them stopped after a few more strikes. The old man nodded as the two of them kneeled down. Pai Xiaoshu, you are pretty good. You found your own path. Dong Xiaosa, in the future, your strength should be better controlled. Do not press the assault relentlessly, there is nothing more for me to teach you. Teacher, please rise. Men's knees are made of gold. Apart from parents and ancestors, as long as you have not been shot in the knee, don't you dare to kneel down. Dong Xiaosa laughed heartily. Even if I have been shot, I will not kneel. I will just lie down. The old man teased, such a glib tongue. Come, have drinks with me. Dong Xiaosa quietly retrieved 2 bottles of wine from his bag. Oh, a 100-year brew, good wine. This bottle was brought by me. Dong Xiaosa was getting impatient. I am not old and confused. You loudmouth, this must have been brought by Xiaoxiao. Let's go, I am feeling good today. I will make a few dishes for you to taste. 3 rooms and a living room. The old man lived alone with not much items, evidently leading a simple life. However, Dong Xiaosa and Pai Xiaozu both knew that in the bedroom lay a safe that held many military documents. This included some which represented achievements of the highest honor and heroic accreditations. The old man was once a famous military figure, but for some reason, he now stayed in such a place. The two did not know how far did they had to go in order to become this old man's disciples. The 3 of them drank not using glasses but bowls. It was refreshingly enjoyable. There was no need to pressure each other to drink or have pleasant toasts. They just drank based at their own pace, to their own liking. Dong Xiaosa had weak alcohol tolerance. After 2 bowls, he went off to rest on the sofa. Pai Xiaoxiao and the old man drank happily, getting even more excited as they continued to drink. The old man started getting excited. He pointed at Pai Xiaoxiao. You little brat, excellent in many things, but just lacking ambition. Let's drink and be silly. Life is short. Teacher, why bother fighting? Let us all just be happy. Pai Xiaoxiao laughed. Teacher, if you want to pin your hopes on him, you might as well count on me, said Dong Xiaosa as he pointed as himself. Well, if it were you, I would just have meat shield to block a bullet. Teacher, please do not show such preferential treatment. You must be drunk. Let me help you finish. As soon as he finished his words, he immediately took the wine from the old man. Little brat, how dare you steal an old man's wine? Even if you bring another 10 jars, I will finish them all. Both the old man and youngster were in no shape to fight over liquor. Earth. In the deep ends of the Atlantic, on an unknown latitude lay a small island that was not visible on the map. Kronos 1 Island. The Kronos family's claim to the island extended nearly 200 nautical miles. On the island, there was a group of soldiers undergoing strict training. The intensity was no less than IG's training camp. In fact, it was arguably tougher. There lay the Kronos private army. Among the group of people, the fatty was particularly noteworthy. He was out of breath. From the looks of it, he seemed like he would faint anytime during the course of training. However, he managed to endure until this point. The fatty was Luo Fei. He thought he could finally relax during the holiday. Lear's call claimed that he was on the way to a private resort. The fatty was particularly excited. He put on his swimming trunks and boarded the ship Lear had sent. In the end, this was a fake vacation island. It was clearly a training ground. The swimming trunks he prepared was finally of use. When there was still another 100 nautical miles before reaching the island, the fatty was thrown off the ship, forcing him to swim over. If one had to swim, then one would do their best to swim, especially after one had been through IG's training camp. They were used to it, after all. Even swimming across 100 nautical miles would not be a problem. However, as soon as the fatty stepped on the island and barely had a sip of water, he had been allocated into a training squad. Training immediately began and it was arguably worse than IG. Nevertheless, the fatty was aware that this island was the Kronos family's secret military base. From this point on, he has been integrated into Lear's fold and had become a true member. In a way, Lear was now developing the strength of the people below him.